Hello, and welcome to Brand Clarity by Visions to Images, where we focus on strategy and business development for entrepreneurs at all different levels through branding and digital marketing techniques. Susie Liberatore is the founder and art director of Visions to Images Creative Services, LLC. For the last decade, she has personally been instrumental in bridging gaps between the global digital market and neighborhood locations for some of the biggest brands around. Growth is possible for even a single location with the right professional branding techniques and Susie's signature strategies of Visions to Images. Stand out from your competitors and bring your visions to life while watching your sales skyrocket. Your host for this is Susie Liberatore, owner of Visions to Images. Hello, everybody. Today I have Staci Diffendaffer on the podcast, and she's a Christian author. And I'm really excited. We kind of connected on LinkedIn and we've been chatting a little bit. And I felt like I haven't had any Christian authors on the podcast yet. So I was excited to have her on. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Yes. So let's dive in. Tell me how you got started. Tell us about your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my journey actually started with a lot of pain and adversity. So I had to overcome a lot. I endured different types of abuse. I was raped. I was fired from a job for not giving my boss sexual favors. I had $25,000 stolen from me from a friend in a business deal, and I was roofied. So a lot of different types of abuse. And I came to the point where I started to understand that all of that pain came from men. So I developed an unconscious belief that men were bad and men were a threat. Now, of course, we know that's not true, but that was a coping mechanism that I used to protect myself, but it was a harmful one. So it created within me this chronic fear and anger. And once I categorized that group of people, I started to categorize other groups of people too. I became bedridden from chronic illness. And so I had to see doctors and they didn't have the answers. And so I started to think, well, doctors are bad. And it continued that these harmful mindsets can really just escalate and continue. And pretty soon I was absolutely miserable. It was tearing me up inside, and it was creating all sorts of discord with my relationships. But thankfully, I found a program that it's a 12-step program called Celebrate Recovery. It's a Christ-centered program. And this one-year program helped me to face the pain that I had been trying so hard to avoid or numb, and work through it with God. I was able to release all of that fear and anger and need to categorize people. And I was able to love everybody as they are and not as I would have them to be. So I had this incredible transformation, and that's really how I got started. I started to see when I was healed that a lot of what's happening in this world with the division that we're experiencing is really just a bunch of individuals who are caught up in some mindsets that they feel are protecting them. And so through my book, I want to help people release those mindsets, but also give them tools to work toward creating unity and to address the very important issues that we're all facing right now. So it's important to address those and not to try to hide from them either.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I mean, that's a lot to take in for sure. I had
Mhm.
no idea all of the stuff that you went through. And when I saw your bio last night, it was about abuse and stuff. And I said, "Oh, the kind of thing." I said, "Oh, that's interesting." But there was so much more to that story, being abused several times, not just once, right? Like, so
Yeah,
there's that philosophy, and it's being abused, period, sucks. And I'm so sorry you had to go through that. But at the same time, it transformed you to who you are. So there's always that outlook, right? Like, a lot of times when I talk about my divorce and my story, like, that's a whole nother thing. But when I talk about my divorce, I'm like, yeah, but it helped me to become who I am today. And I mean, I relied on God, and at first I prayed and was mad at him, but then I overcame so much. And changing that mindset, because I felt like, oh, I'm never going to love again. Now I'm still single, but I'm never going to love again. I'm never going to find somebody. I'm never going to get married. Like, there's all these things that I say less often than I used to, and saying, all these guys are bad, or they're all narcissist, or whatever. Like, all of that come part of the factor, right? So it doesn't matter what kind of abuse we've been through, it always transforms when you allow it to.
absolutely. Yeah, we can make these harmful agreements that, all men are narcissists, all men are bad. But when we take it to God,
Yeah.
that's when we can get that higher perspective.
Right.
The beautiful thing about pain is that I think that that's where we learn and grow
Yes.
most deeply. Yeah, and I
Absolutely.
know you know that. Yeah,
Yes.
that's where
Yes. I mean, it's
transformation
one of
takes
those
place.
things you just gotta, yeah, that's so amazing. I love it. Hey, let's stop for just 1 second during this podcast episode. I know you're so excited to get back and listen, but I wanted to chat with you and talk about how we really work with businesses. What we really do is we dive in and we ask so many questions. We go through a series of questionnaires and extensive research to really help you get a clear, identifiable plan of action that needs to happen for your business. If you want to hear more about this, go to visions2images.com, click the contact us button, and we will be happy to set up a time to chat more. So tell me I know what you're most excited about, but I want to hear more about it. I know you have your book. So tell us I'm assuming that's what you're most excited about, but tell us a little bit about what you're excited about, what the book is, all those fun things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm most excited about the fact that I'm starting to work on an audiobook. To me,
Awesome. Yay.
yeah, that is my favorite way to consume a book is audiobooks. So I'm
That'd be
so
amazing.
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to get that out. But my book really is about, it's about being a light in a world of that's dividing. It's, how can we address these sensitive issues that we're faced with through biblical principles. And in my book, you'll learn your own pain to purpose redemption story, your unique part in transforming culture, and the keys to uprooting the mindsets that divide us. So this book is for anybody who wants to have peace during these times, and or anybody who wants to create meaningful change in their community, the
Mhm.
nation, or even the world.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I mean, whenever I tell my story or post personal stuff, it's like I want to tell my story so that I can inspire those and inspire the community and inspire everybody and really help them to grow, right? Like, I'm not here to tell my story because I'm like, oh, I'm the best. I'm here to share it. And even when we go to church and stuff, like, what is our story? Like, why? And I tell people all the time, God gave me all these things so I can tell my story and share it with others, because they might need that support and inspiration and all of that. So it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm finding that the redeeming factor,
Mhm.
the thing that really made all of that pain worthwhile, is how I'm able to use it to help others. It's,
Absolutely.
yeah, these stories, they're not fun to tell particularly, they're hard, and it doesn't make me look good, but it makes God look good because God's the one that rescued me, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, just gave me this incredible healing. And
Yeah.
now I'm able to hear the stories of other people of how they are starting to understand where, there may be groups that they have realized that they are withholding love from. There a lot of times what's happening now is that we're starting to see people as agendas rather than individuals, and we've stopped taking the time to understand why they feel and believe the way they do. And I believe that once we do that, once we realize that people are more than just a particular belief in a social issue or a political side, that they are people who are worthy of love. And when we can come together and have vulnerable conversations, even awkward conversations, we can realize that there's a valid reason why they believe what they do. And when we can do that, we can start to work together on the issues that seem to divide us.
Absolutely. Yes. So my last question for you is, what advice would you give somebody, whether it's them going through abuse, trauma, becoming a writer, an author? Like, what kind of advice? I mean, the door is pretty open for that. What kind of advice would you give somebody?
Yeah, I would say that the first thing is, if you are experiencing abuse or any even harmful mindsets, if you feel like you're just living in kind of fear or anger, get help. It is the best thing you can do is to find a counselor. I'm a big advocate of Christian counselors. Find somebody who knows how to help you work through it and work through it with God. I think that those two are a powerful combination. And once you have found that healing, you will find your purpose in it, because you will be uniquely equipped to help others to navigate what you've been through and to give them hope. And I would just say that one of the best things that we can do when we talk to people and communicate with them is just always ask ourselves, how can I give this person a gift through my words? And that goes so far. We all need that encouragement and hope and inspiration, and to know that we're heard and seen.
Yes, I love it. And I'm so glad that we were able to connect on LinkedIn. We were talking on LinkedIn, which is another key component to the branding and whatnot. We've kind of been able to share each other's stories and connect with even more people. I know we've been connecting with so many people, and it's an amazing thing when it comes together and just keep sharing those stories. So it's incredible when we're able to connect and share our stories over and over again, because you just never know what somebody's going through. And sometimes I've realized as well, they might not respond or say much, but then later on they come back and they say, I was really thinking about everything we talked about. I would love to continue this conversation because I'm like going through XYZ, and those are the kind of conversations that really light us all up, because we're like, we all know that we're not alone. We're all struggling with something, whether it's past, present, future, whatever. And it lights us up because we're able to communicate and talk with those people. And it's not always about the business, but it's connecting on a personal level. And then from there, of course, maybe business will come in, but it's that connection. I know when I was going through a divorce, I felt like everybody was judgment. I felt like people turn their backs on you and they're whispering and they're talking, and really finding those people that you can connect with, like single moms or people that have gone through the divorce. It was so important to me at that time so that I could overcome what I needed to. So I just love, being able to connect with so many people like you're talking about and sharing those stories.
Absolutely. We need that support, and that is the beautiful thing that we can find in social media is, we can see the people who are making those comments, and even more so, like you said, just reaching out and having those Zoom meetings now, I think are so important. And having the courage to be vulnerable, to kind of talk about where we are. I mean, we don't have to, say all the gritty details, but maybe just, just be real. I think that we're all looking for that.
Absolutely. I always talk about authenticity as one of like our missions and core values, because I feel like where I'm not fake, nobody's fake on my team. Like we're all very authentic and true. And that's where we kind of differentiate ourselves. And we're very honest too. So it's like those are our two key components and the backbone. And I always tell myself, like whenever a situation comes up with clients, I'm always like, okay, how do I still stay true? And how do I be honest? I mean, not that I lie, but how can we put the two together so that everybody's happy and we're not dealing with drama and BS and lies and stuff like that. Like I really have to take some time to figure out how to put those two together. It doesn't happen often, but it's just one of those things that's always in our minds because I'm authentic. I will keep it real to myself and all of that. And I tell, if people don't necessarily care about authenticity and they want to be fake, that's fine. You can be whoever you want to be, but that is who we are and who I am. So
yeah, absolutely. And when we are courageous enough to put it out there first, then others follow, I believe.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I'll share your book link with everybody as well. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I didn't know about a lot of it, so it was very powerful and enlightening, and I hope that other people can definitely benefit from it.
I hope so too. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been so much fun.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening in on this episode today. Please make sure to check out the links from your guest and Visions to Images to learn more about each other. It takes a village, as you know, so connect and grow with one another together. Thank you so much for listening.